Welcome to Canada, the world's second largest country sitting right above the United States. Think of Canada like a giant puzzle piece hugging the Atlantic, Arctic, and Pacific Oceans. Want to know a fun fact? Canada and the US share the world's longest border, a whopping 5,525 miles. Now, Canada is one of the most powerful countries in the world, but what most people don't know is that it's crumbling under the weight of its own success.
New data from Statistics Canada shows this country's gross domestic product flatlined.
The numbers are stark, the reality is grim. A record number of people are experiencing homelessness in and around Metro Vancouver.
Since the 2008 financial crisis, Canada has faced huge economic changes. One notable shift is the doubling of house prices, a trend observed we've all experienced globally. On top of that, other challenges including a global pandemic, inflation, disrupted supply chains, and political issues have impacted economies around the world. Canada seemed to be handling all of this pretty well, but now things have started to change. A concerning factor for Canada is its high household debt levels, the highest among G7 countries. This vulnerability arises when there's a potent negative external economic event like a global economic crisis. Such events can lead to widespread job losses, making it challenging for many mortgage holders to manage their debts. While the Canadian financial system has undergone stress tests to prevent economic downturns, the combination of high debt levels and widespread job losses is making this particular recession harsh. Canada's economic challenges are intertwined with its housing crisis, making the overall situation more complicated. The doubling of house prices since the financial crisis is a key contributor to the economic landscape. In 2009, the government's stimulus program and the central bank's interest rates near 1% encouraged Canadians to accumulate debt to buy homes. This housing boom driven by consumer spending led to a surge in housing prices, creating both opportunities and vulnerabilities for the economy. Recent data highlights the impact of rising interest rates on housing prices. While there has been a temporary softening of housing prices, a significant portion of renters in Canada still perceive home ownership as unattainable. According to an IPSOS poll, 63% of Canadians who don't own a home have given up on ever owning one. This sentiment is indicative of the challenges faced by individuals in entering the house market, pointing to broader issues related to affordability and access. Additionally, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation report underscores the role of immigration in driving rental demand. When newcomers arrive in the country, they often opt to rent, maintaining a steady demand for rental properties. The connection between immigration and the demands for rentals and the overall dynamics of the housing market underscores the complex nature of the housing crisis in Canada. Another issue is the phenomenon of brain drain. This is where skilled professionals leave Canada for better opportunities in the United States, which is a critical aspect influencing both the economy and the housing crisis. According to a recent study titled "Reversing the Brain Drain: Where is Canadian STEM Talent Going?", Canada has experienced a significant loss of approximately two-thirds of recent software engineering graduates from its leading universities to the United States. The research also reveals that one-third of recent graduates in computer engineering and computer science are currently employed in the United States. The study, which examined graduates from 22 science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subjects, focused on those from the University of Toronto, University of Waterloo, and University of British Columbia. The concerning statistics underscore the magnitude of the challenge Canada faces in stemming the outflow of talent from the country. Limited government initiatives to promote research and entrepreneurship play a role in this talent outflow. The consequences of the drain extend beyond the immediate workforce, impacting the housing market and the broader economic landscape. On top of all that, the reluctance to invest beyond natural resources not only hampers innovation, but also contributes to a less productive and innovative economy compared to the United States. In the housing context, this lack of innovation could potentially hinder the development of creative solutions to address the ongoing housing crisis. A vibrant and innovative economy often makes advancements in housing affordability, construction, and urban planning, creating a more dynamic and responsive housing market. But if all the capable people leave Canada, who is going to solve the country's issues? Statistics from the World Intellectual Property Organization highlight the innovation gap between Canada and the United States. The US generates approximately twice as many patents as Canada, revealing a significant difference in inventive activities. In the context of housing, innovation is vital for finding sustainable and affordable housing solutions. Therefore, this innovation gap becomes a crucial factor in addressing housing challenges in Canada. While Canada ranks 14th globally for talent, the challenge remains in retaining this talent within the country. The lack of a robust culture that supports entrepreneurship and innovation contributes to the acquisition of innovative Canadian startups by larger foreign companies, particularly those from the United States. As we mentioned before, Canada heavily relies on natural resources for economic growth, discouraging investments in diverse sectors like manufacturing, research, and business activities. It operates as a natural resource economy, with primary activities centered around mining, lumber, oil, and natural gas. In 2021, natural resources contributed to 17% of nominal GDP and constituted 51% of Canada's total merchandise exports. However, the two leading exports, oil and vehicles, face a declining trend that will probably continue for the foreseeable future. The automotive industry, which is considered a key economic player, has struggled since the 2008 recession, with production plummeting from 3 million vehicles in 1999 to 1.2 million in 2022. Now, let's shift a little bit of our focus to the current government. Since assuming office, the Trudeau government has primarily focused its economic growth strategy on two fronts: expanding the population and increasing the role of government. The Canadian population experienced a notable 2.7% growth from January 2022 to January 2023, making the highest rate since the post-war baby boom in 1957. In parallel, federal per-person program spending adjusted for inflation is anticipated to surge from $9,038 in 2014 to $11,476 in 2023, an increase of 27% within approximately a decade. Despite the substantial growth in population and government spending, real incomes and living standards are facing issues. Before the COVID-19 pandemic from 2016 to 2019, the current government's economic performance lagged behind previous federal administrations during comparable pre-recession periods. Notably, after adjusting for inflation, per-person GDP growth, which is a crucial indicator of incomes and living standards, averaged a disappointing 0.8% in the 4 years leading up to the 2020 recession. Post-COVID, the Canadian economy has struggled, with per-person GDP remaining below pre-pandemic levels. Despite some recovery, with an anticipated population growth of 1.4% and the Trudeau government projecting a meager 0.9% inflation-adjusted GDP growth in 2024, further economic declines loom. This means we can expect even lower living standards for people living in Canada. Beyond income and living standards, business investment is a crucial driver of economic gains. Recent research reveals a concerning trend in Canada, with business investment per worker declining by 20% from $18,363 to $14,687 from 2014 to 2021. In contrast, during the same period in the United States, business investment per worker increased from $23,333 to $26,751. Presently, business investment per worker in Canada stands at less than 55% of US levels. Without a significant shift in economic strategy, Canada faces challenges in the upcoming decades. According to a study by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, predicts that Canada is projected to have the lowest per-person GDP growth among 32 advanced economies in the periods 2020 to 2030 and 2030 to 2060. Notably, countries with currently lower average per-person GDP such as Czechia, Estonia, Israel, South Korea, New Zealand, Slovenia, and Turkey are expected to surpass Canada, achieving higher living standards by 2060. Despite everything we've just discussed, there actually might be a little bit of hope. As traditional sectors wane, the services sector emerges as a beacon of growth. Financial services, real estate, and communications have experienced rapid expansion, positioning Toronto as a strong financial hub in North America. Canada's banking system, maintaining its top rank in the G7 for the 11th consecutive year, stands as one of the soundest globally. Even with the economic challenges, Canada navigated the global financial crisis more adeptly than the United States. This success can be attributed to sensible and well-regulated banks, which helped Canada avoid excessive competition troubles. That's right, folks, they seem to have learned from their mistakes. Although Canada has its strengths, their growth patterns are far too different from other developed countries. While possessing a stable democratic government, likable citizens, a growing business environment, and a reputation of the world's least corrupt nations, Canada's growth lags behind its peers. Will their economy ever recover? It seems unlikely, but only time will tell.